Perfect. All right, I'd like to call the Albany Conservation Commission meeting of June 3rd to order at 6:30. First on the agenda today, we do not have any appointments, so we'll jump right into the new business. The approval of the meeting minutes from April 1st, 2025, as we did not meet last month. Anyone have any comments, suggestions, or I guess we should bring it to the floor first. I'm a little out of practice, I guess. Month off.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, okay. So any
Look good to me.
comments? Okay, all right. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion passes to accept the minutes of April 1st, 2025. So this winter, we were working on the conservation management plan, reviewing it, updating it, etc. And then we received a response from Cindy Sellers for Usefelt. And there are some, I thought they were minor updates and suggestions that were marked in red that they sent to us. Would you like to go over that and just review it quickly?
Read it, so
Okay.
do you have it printed out?
I don't have it printed out.
Yeah. I just tried to link and I need access, so I can't do it.
You
get it right
can't
now.
do it from here. All right.
But was it mostly typographical stuff?
It was things like crossing out will and inserting a shall.
Yeah.
There were a couple of things that were added.
The table of contents had updated dates attached to it, so the trail map just updated 2019, stuff like that. Forest management updated 2024.
Yep.
Adding an address for the easement holder in section 3B, which was the Upper Solomon Valley Land Trust. Adding in dates for the planning periods. And again, as you said, it was just minor grammatical corrections in certain areas.
Well, the wills and shalls are significant because that's legalese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
So
yeah.
what, if
not to
you
be dismissed, but
what are those ones?
Yeah. And I know at one point, something for review, it had been a minimum of 5, a maximum of 10, and they just, every 10 years, review that much I remember.
Section H, Part A, added in the tract can also be accessed from a new trailhead parking area constructed in 2019 with a kiosk on the Kankomagus Highway.
Yeah.
Section I, land use maps, just said updated 2019. They also put in a section K for access, again as before, so access for the 3 parcels is described above under parcel location.
Yes.
This was Part 5, Section A, Part technically C, just reference to see attachment 2 for the engineer's survey plan.
Yeah, the index at the end was very explicit.
Yeah, so a lot of this is referring to attachments furthermore. So Part C said see attachment 5, critical wildlife habitat map.
Mm-hmm.
Reviewing further on, see attachment 6, habitat quality map.
Okay.
Section 6, 7, I don't remember there being too many more. Section 7, Part C, see attachments 5 and 6, critical habitat and quality map. Oh, I stand corrected. Part E of Section 7. Further down, objectives and strategies. Got us a pretty heavy edit.
Okay.
Removing about a quarter of it and adding in different language. So removing a goal for the conservation easement hold is to map and inventory and just starting with monitor and document occurrences.
And that came up twice instead of the goals. It was,
Yep, and second bullet point,
yeah.
same language crossed out. And now it says, if an invasive control plan becomes necessary, the conservation easement holder can guide the landowner in developing an invasive species management plan.
Okay.
Second bullet point, crossing out a will and putting a should.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So read that sentence.
If deemed necessary per a future invasive species control plan or by documented evidence showing the spread of such species, efforts should be made to properly remove and dispose of these plants when they are discovered on site while minimizing impacts to other conservation values on site such as wildlife habitat.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
That's more forgiving than will or
Mhm.
shall,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
which is you're compelled to shall. So that
Yeah.
gives more leeway.
Yes.
Everything that I read that was edited felt in the best interest.
Yeah.
Section F, insects and diseases.
Do you have these written down?
No.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
You're on the email for it.
I'm sorry.
You're on the email that has the link.
What was the date on that email?
It's from Cindy Sellers on May 23rd.
May 23rd?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant portion in insects and
It's a
diseases.
Google Drive link, so
Oh, okay.
click the link, request access,
Mm-hmm.
then
Oh.
they have to authorize access.
I must have been asleep at the wheel here. I don't remember this one.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
it's been a busy spring. Yeah, I printed the email itself, but I didn't do the,
The full document.
No.
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
that's what I need. I need to come down here and you have it done here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she added 4 paragraphs to insects and diseases section.
Would you mind reading that?
No.
Mhm.
The updated 2024 Forest Management Plan provides guidance on some observed and potential forest insects and diseases. However, there is no formal insect and disease management program for the protected property. She added that piece first. We had ours section piece, which was from observed evidence there is a fairly low occurrence of disease problems on the protected property. The only widespread disease was beech bark disease. Nothing can be done to treat trees infected with this disease. However, some trees can have smooth, clean trunk indicating resistance to the beech scale insect, which creates the wounds, then enable the Nectria fungus to gain and take control of the vigor of the tree. These resistant trees should be left in stands and their regeneration encouraged. It was then added the following. For 2 years, 2021-2022, prolonged damage caused by spongy moth resulted in widespread defoliation and oak mortality on Bond Hill Road lot. Forest land improvement administered a salvage harvest in the winter of 2024. The logging was conducted by L.E. Taylor and Sons, which created 3 patch clear cuts, 14.5 and 2.5 acres in size, which cleared the areas of property most impacted by the oak mortality. Most of the beech was also removed as it would have been the dominant species on the site for decades. The town of Albany purchased the black birch seed and was seeded by Forest Land Improvement following the 2024 salvage cut. Black birch is a fast-growing native tree recognized as a resilient species to disease and climate change. Other invasive insects that have impacted forest stands and should continue to be monitored on the property include... My Latin is not that good. Delgus
Of the
And-
woolly indulgent.
and emerald ash borer.
Jeez.
Oh, that was
That
that full section.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Into G, agriculture, we marked down objectives and strategies, bullet points. Under the first bullet point, seek recommendations for future agricultural use by interviewing potential VC farmers or other agricultural experts, create preliminary work plans and budgets to determine feasibility in agriculture conversion. She just added a status of partially complete.
Okay.
So each one got added a status.
Yeah.
So second bullet point was the agricultural management plan, which was added status of complete. This plan has had substantial input from UNH Cooperative Extension, Olivia Saunders, USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. Third bullet point was active agriculture on site. Status in progress and incorporated into the attached May 2014 Agricultural Management Plan. Last bullet point was whenever possible, agricultural on site so utilize techniques with the fewest impacts to the property. Status in progress and incorporated into the attached May 2014 Agricultural Management Plan. And this is section 7 again, onto H. Public access recreational resources. Once again, objectives and strategies. She added the status to each one that we had in there. First one, improved parking area off the Kankamagas Highway, etc. Status was complete in 2019. An 8-car parking area was constructed on the Kankamagas Highway, about 7/10 of a mile west of Route 16 traffic lights on the Conway Davis Farm North Lot. The trailhead sign and kiosk have been established at the parking lot. Added bullet point, establish a parking and access area at the west end of the Davis Farm tract. Admittedly, I am not sure what this piece is. It is highlighted, but it's not crossed out like previous. I'm not sure if that's an error or highlighting point.
Yeah.
But that was maintain the existing locked gate on UFS's land. And that was just shortened down to establish MOU for access with a questionable status. So that might be
So
something
the
we...
paragraph is highlighted but not crossed out.
Correct.
But
And then she
it
added
has
in
this,
to that short phrase with a blank status. So that might actually be something we want
Yes, it's on the on the list.
to on the list.
Yeah, Mike has that information, I think, on
Yeah.
the side there. I don't have any
Yeah, I don't have
updates.
it either.
Yeah, I talked to him and after April meeting, and he said he thought it could be accomplished.
Okay, excellent.
But he would talk to whatever the property management guy or whatever is. Well, probably worth a follow-up. It's been 6 weeks, I think, since I talked to him.
Okay.
I can do that.
The property management guy at Forest Service?
Yeah, the Forest Service or whatever, whoever
Yeah.
does property or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
whatever that title was.
So you have their name and their contact?
I'm sorry?
You have their name and their contact?
I don't have that contact information, but Mike said he would talk to that guy first before anything was drafted, so.
Yeah.
He said that guy would probably draft it up anyway, so.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Second, our next bullet point is post and maintain Upper Saco Valley Land Trust signs and other signs as appropriate at all public access points as mutually agreed upon with the landowner. Added status of complete. Use felt diamonds have been posted at property corners and Albany Town Forest sign has been constructed at the entrance of the parking lot, completed in 2019. Fourth bullet point, regards to the town of Albany, use felt should be work to develop permanent access point for the Kennett Homestead Fields in collaboration with the butters such as the AC Kennett Middle School or Conway Village Fire District in order to better serve the public while at the same time preventing uses inconsistent with conservation purposes. Added status of permit parking and access for the Kennett Homestead Fields was determined unsuitable due to small area access rights and wetland.
So is that preceding paragraph crossed out? Or it's
Uh,
left in there with
It's
that
left in there
statement?
and just an added status.
Okay, yeah.
So same further down, 8th bullet point, our original consider the future establishment of foot trails to selected features of interest as long as they are consistent with the conservation values of the conservation easement. Added in was bullet points under that status, partially complete and in progress. Under that is a bullet point. The Conway Davis Farm North Lot is now home to about 4 miles of multi-use trails that are maintained by the White Mountains chapter of New England Mountain Bike Association and monitored by the Albany Conservation Commission. The trails were completed in spring 2014 and trail signs were posted in June 2014. The network runs behind the Cadet Middle School with another kiosk adjacent to the Hubble Memorial Field. Further bullet point, the Conway Davis Farm South Lot now has about 1 mile of trails completed and is asking for a year to be inserted there.
Oh, read the last sentence.
The Conway Davis Farm South Lot now has about 1 mile of WNEMBA trails completed in, and that just says year question mark.
What year was it completed?
Yeah.
Court, do you know?
I think the year after would probably fit the initial trails, probably. Isn't that, the-
2015 maybe?
yeah, I think, I think. Either Mike might be able to, because essentially those guys laid it out pretty much.
Yeah.
Mike might have an exact date on that. It was the number guys basically did the layout work. But I'm thinking it was right after.
What section is that? I'm just gonna put an email to Mike.
I think what you're talking about is the western end, which is the upper part of the Saco River Trail.
Yeah.
And the Davis, the return back to the crossover trail. So it's that upper loop, basically.
The other side of the tank, upper loop?
No. They're talking
It's
about
a
on the
section-
north side.
Yeah.
So they're talking about that. It's the western end,
Yeah.
you know, from
Going all the way to the terminal.
yeah,
towards
because you go to
camp.
campground, right.
Yeah, because that did come later, right?
Yeah.
Section 7, Part H. Bullet point.
That's a lot of heads. Gonna have to read this thing.
It's not too bad. Yeah.
No, I do apologize. Reading off a phone is not
Yeah.
ideal.
Okay.
I believe I'm on bullet point 13 for this now. Again, highlighted but not crossed out.
Yeah.
What we had written with meet with the Mount Washington Valley RC Flying Club to determine future expectations, goals, and arrangements regarding their use of the western portion of the Kennett Homestead Tract. Outline and measure their leased area for future monitoring purposes. Questionable status, or status in question.
So kind of, have we done that? Have we reached out to the club to re-establish?
Yeah.
We have not, that I know of.
Yeah. You've reached out to the flying club, right? The airplane club?
I haven't talked to them in years.
I've reached out to them in the past. I'm
Yeah,
actually kind of a member. But
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
because they have
Okay.
a new president, it's not, what's his name anymore, Olaf?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody else.
Um,
The last contact I had was 2021. It was Kevin Bennett.
I have a contact
Yeah.
there, so
Okay.
I will
Wow.
reach out to. And would you just read that paragraph again? There's stuff about a lease. Is there stuff about a lease?
I know we have like,
It's in quotes.
Lease agreement.
It's measure their leased area for future
Leased
monitoring
area.
purposes.
okay.
Leased area is in quotes.
Yeah.
If you'd like the full thing, it's meet with the Mount Washington Valley RC Flying Club to determine future expectations, goals, and arrangements regarding their use of the western portion of the Kennett Homestead Tract. Outline and measure their leased area for future monitoring purposes.
Outline and measure. So that has not ever been done, maybe? We just
No.
have a general,
Yeah, it's vague.
yeah.
Yeah, use of yield.
It's pretty well defined, though.
Hmm.
On the ground, it's pretty
Yes.
well defined because the farm field is kind of
Yeah, it's anything that's not the farm, pretty
one
much.
edge of
Yeah.
it, and then
Yeah.
kind of the
Yeah.
roads go around it, or
Right.
pathways and roads go around it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hmm.
because they give us,
I think I remember getting insurance documentation from
right, that's what I'm
someone
thinking
or
too.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, probably we need a liability,
Yes, yeah, 'cause it's in some of my notes.
certificate of insurance from them
Right.
as well.
To find it, that would be the- Thank you. All right,
I haven't, I haven't seen anybody flying there recently because it's still early.
Oh, I think they're active.
They are active?
Yeah. So Sunday, kind of mid-morning is their,
Okay.
that's their regular,
Oh, flight time, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Members can go anytime, but they kind of get together as a group on Sunday,
Okay,
mid-morning, midday.
okay.
Yeah, they had a work party, and yeah, they're flying.
Okay.
Roughly bullet point 14 under that same section. We had written conservation easement holder will conduct legal compliance monitoring of the conservation easement at least once annually. Edited was a bullet point underneath that with the status. Monitoring has been conducted at least once annually since 2015. Reports are on file with the conservation easement holder. Required third-party reports have been submitted to LCHIP annually with the copies on file with the conservation easement holder.
check.
Oddly enough, we have section H again after that, but it is now wetlands and water bodies.
Oh. I have to, okay, I have to get rid of this.
Yeah. Section I, forest resources. Was added in at the end. An updated forest management plan for the property was prepared by Timothy Nolan of Forest Land Improvement Incorporated in June 2024 and was approved by Usefelt by the letter dated September 17, 2024. See attachment 10, forest management plan updated by June 2024, prepared by Forest Land Improvement Incorporated. Then it goes into the objectives and strategies for forest resources.
Okay.
First bullet point, all future commercial forestry must be conducted in accordance with the approved forest management plan prepared by Forest Land Improvement and they added in June 2024, or subsequent plans or plans amendments subject to prior approval. Second point, it is recommended that Upper Saco Valley Land Trust work with the landowner to hold a public informational field tour on the protected property to discuss forest management to show the public that sustainable and ecologically sensitive timber management can be profitable. And it was a status underneath that, bullet point status, which
Say
was
that last thing again? It was a,
bullet point status was added underneath that.
okay.
That's
Status is,
boy, that's a long one. A public field tour was coordinated after the town of Albany's first harvest in 2012. The tour was led by Forester Don Johnson, joined by logger Randy Wales, to inform the public on harvest operations accomplished following recommendations in the forest management plan. Future field tours are encouraged to continue to educate the public on sustainable forestry practices.
okay.
They added an additional bullet point under the main bullet points there to monitor the post-harvest regeneration of black birch after the 2024 spongy moth salvage harvest.
Yeah, I haven't been up there.
Just
See if
to
they have little
monitor?
sprouts.
Yep,
Just
that's it.
monitor, to
Just-
monitor?
Nope, nothing in front of it. Monitor the post-harvest regeneration.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be anecdotal because it's not like we did a grid, and a control or anything like that. It's just anecdotal monitoring.
Section 8, updating of plan information. First paragraph has some redactions. To encourage incorporation of new forestry and ecological management practices where appropriate and practical, the conservation management plan will, ad minimum has been crossed off, be evaluated. Crossed off is within 5 years of its effective date, and they left every 10 years thereafter. I believe that was the point you were referring to.
Yeah.
So they took out 5 years and just left every 10.
And is the beginning of the statement a should or a will or a shall? What's the...
I guess the beginning of the statement is to encourage incorporation of inventory where appropriate will be evaluated every 10 years thereafter.
Okay.
The conservation management plan will be updated within 1 year of a change of ownership. It's also in that same piece.
I wonder if we should change it to should.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's the first paragraph of section 8. Section 9 was amendments,
Yeah.
which I'm going to assume was blank because the entire amendments portion is in the red. Which is an agricultural management plan was developed in May 2014. See attachment 11, agricultural management plan, May 2014. This updated management plan was developed collaboratively between the Upper Saco Valley Land Trust and the Conservation Commission of the Town of Albany. It is an amended version of the original conservation management plan and dated July 27, 2012. And that is that full, that's it, that is that section.
Okay.
The last portion is just attachments. Numerically, once you get down to attachment 9, trail map, it has been edited to say updated 2019.
Okay.
Number 10, forest management plan has been edited to say updated June 2024. And an edit was made to add an 11th one, agricultural management plan, May 2014. And that is the full document.
Yeah. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Thank you for technology.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see if I can get a few printed copies of that so that I'm such a hard copy person.
Yeah.
So that we can review and change and I'll see if I can get that out to you before the next meeting.
I don't need a hard
A
copy.
copy, you've got it.
I'll get the access here.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, Sean, what do you?
I don't need a hard copy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Um,
okay.
And when I do get access, I could print the hard copies here.
Oh, that's
Just
true, yeah.
Save you the paper and ink.
Oh, well, yeah, well, at least I was gonna go
Yeah.
Selectman's office and
Oh,
look sad.
yeah.
But I think it's one of those things, I believe I mentioned this in a previous meeting, is I think when I bring on a new member, they should have a copy of each one of these plans and say, this is part of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, that's kind of like in the back of my mind,
Yeah.
because I do have a possible new member.
Oh,
Oh.
wonderful.
Yeah, so let's see if we can get him on board.
Is that on the agenda?
No,
Not
We're not
official
business.
Not
Yeah.
official business yet. Not-
I have his name and phone number,
Yeah, good. Great.
so, yeah.
Yeah, so my thoughts on that are those couple, will do the plan in 10 years,
Mhm.
change to should.
Yeah,
Seems
right.
reasonable to give more flexibility on our end.
Yes,
Yes.
right.
Thanks.
Yeah, maybe even scrub through for more, just in Control F search for the word will and just see where, and just see where it's a hard point to, if it's necessary to put flexibility in it.
All right, I will put that up to, put on the agenda for next time. And we,
Really, the thing is, like, if nothing's, in 10 years, there's probably going to be some changes, but maybe there's not.
Yeah.
And going through the cost of doing the whole thing is,
Yeah.
if it's not warranted, then it's not warranted,
yep,
Agreed.
okay. I know we had set a date for the cleanup of the Albany Town Forest, and some of us were able to get out there, and others of us were not. And there, I know Mike put out an email with his report.
So thank you for whoever cut up the big trees, because I was not prepared for that. But I came along behind with my just my loppers and my little hand saw and just kind of cleaned up whatever was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That was Mike.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seemed like he took some of the bigger stuff that was in the way, and then I just came through and any smaller pieces that
Does
were,
any further work need to be done with a larger saw, or is it?
No, it was, it was actually in pretty
Yeah.
good shape.
Okay. I've been meaning to take the leaf blower around, but it's like it rains every freaking
Well,
weekend.
and you know,
So
that's
it's like,
the,
I can't do very much if everything's wet.
Full
Right,
disclosure,
right.
I was out there in the rain.
yeah, it was really, the weather has not been in our favor for sure.
The one piece I did want to bring up is there was a bridge that was just up on a hill.
Oh, yeah. I think they're talking about removing that bridge, so they relocated the trail
Okay.
last year to avoid having that bridge problem, which seems to be a
Okay.
perennial washout. And then they've moved the trail to the south side of that stream.
Okay.
And then they're talking about reclaiming the bridge and using it someplace else.
Okay, perfect.
But the bridge must weigh a ton, but the last time it washed out, Mike moved the bridge by himself. So maybe it's not as heavy as I think, or he's a lot ruggeder than I think.
Yeah. All right, well,
Okay.
thank you for doing that, Jake, and bringing that up. Uh-oh. Well,
So-
as time goes on, let's, just poke around out there, and if there's a need to
Okay,
go out and trim branches, and I mean, it's something we usually do annually, but
so.
I haven't been out there either for the same reason.
Other than taking a leaf blower around, then the work is essentially completed.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Mike and Jake.
Done.
For the trails.
Yeah,
My follow-up question is the view thing along 16.
oh, right,
That we gave a good cut.
Yeah, I think it's
Couple
pretty good. I
years
think it's pretty good. Yeah, and then the other would be is whether or not the ditch line, that's between essentially the airfield and Davis Farm and it's Davis's plot there, and Grandview can be cleared.
yeah, those are
And
getting
that-
pretty big.
And part of that is wetland.
Yeah.
So there'd be a limitation there, but eventually that tree line's gonna grow up. And you won't see, if it goes unchecked, it'll eventually close off that view. I'm sure it would take more than 10 years for 20 years, but we cut it 8 years ago, maybe, something like that, 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
We cut it right down to where there's nothing.
Okay.
But we didn't go all the way. There's that ditch line there's another ditch line that bounds the playing fields.
Okay.
And we didn't go
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
to the edge there. But it's also loaded with poison ivy.
So is that a fall project, you think, versus
Or spring.
yeah,
Better in the spring when there's no foliage.
oh, true.
And also no undergrowth, or a lot of the annual growth has died down. Ideally,
But then it's super wet.
yeah, exactly. Ideally, if the town or whatever has one of those, big pieces of machinery, the brontosaurus or whatever, you know, the
That
monster,
would be ideal.
the monster brush hog, because the trees are growing up big enough now
Mhm.
that you're gonna have a lot of them.
Right.
Like if we had a lot of brush on the other end, it's gonna be like twice as much brush to handle. So, I don't know if can tie it in with Eversource or somebody and just say, hey, you guys got equipment in this neighborhood sometime?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Town certainly doesn't have that resource.
Yeah,
Um,
and those machines by themselves probably cost a ton, a lot to run.
yeah.
That might be something, I'm looking for a grant maybe.
What do you think the diameter of the trees are in the,
Maybe 4 or 5 inches now.
and it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago?
8 or 9 years ago, yeah. Maybe they might be a little smaller because I haven't gotten in close there because I got a monster dose of poison ivy the last time we worked in there. Oh man, yeah. It was Rob used his brush hog. He's got a small tractor, and that would be the other thing. Would be okay. The worst case scenario: cut the stuff, burn it, and use the brush hog for the little stuff. You know, but that's still a lot of work. That ditch line is twice the length of the 16 practically.
Yeah.
It's serious. There's an old bridge in there, old stone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The stringers are gone, but the bridge abutment's there, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's the two like the Route 16 thing, you know, we gave that a whack 3 years ago or something maybe. But that's the thing, is like to stay on top of it
Right.
and keep giving it a whack so it doesn't
Yeah.
get to trees.
Oh yeah.
that start to
No,
be
if
like
you can
this.
do that every 3 or 4 years, you can just use a brush saw.
Or just every year.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah.
Make that part of our
Yeah, no,
maintenance.
it's the way to go. Yeah, and you know, like I said, if you keep it small enough, you can use a brush saw.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about brush.
Yeah.
You know, you cut it when it's
Right.
this big.
Right. You don't need chainsaws, you can just
Right.
use
Yeah, you just use
weed
it.
whackers
Right,
basically.
weed whackers, right.
I think that would be the goal.
Yeah.
And or get it to like hand it off to the farmers.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
as part
yeah.
of their maintenance.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
But I think we need to give it another whack before we ask them to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, thinking for the fall, maybe that's the fall project, is the Route 16 line to get that
Yeah, sure.
good and under control to maybe pass it off to the farmers.
Yeah, I can
The
see.
ditch sounds like that's a whole nother consideration.
It's a big project there.
Right, that's
I mean-
multiple days of a lot of man out, people hours.
The Jake had suggested that he was willing to take on some of these bigger projects. He was talking about cutting some of the tree line back even,
Yeah,
which is again pretty ambitious.
yeah.
So maybe you know, so who knows? But anyways,
Well, if the trails are looking good, I'd say let's, you know, think about a fall work day.
Okay. I'll put it on the agenda for next month
Yeah.
to keep it in preview.
Yeah.
All right.
how is the blazing look? The trail blazing, the blue blazes, they look okay.
Most of them.
Yeah,
There
I was wondering if
probably a handful that
Could
I
use
had
some
to do
touch-up. I was looking
Yeah.
at maybe going back and touching up.
Yeah.
uh,
And I think there's also some old blue blaze that was a little confusing as well.
yeah.
Going in different directions.
Yeah, where it was clearly fresh in this direction, then real kind of faded. But if your head's swiveling this way, and you see that faded one first, I
Yeah.
kind of like would do a step, and I was like, oh, what's that? Oh, okay, yeah, all right, that's obviously the trail. But
Well, a lot of the work usually when you do that the first time is taking an axe and making a level thing. And so if it's just a repaint, it's a lot faster. Well, that's something that can be done with some.
Okay.
be glad to do that as well. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
what I hear you saying, Cory, is that you're just gonna go out and do it. But
Yeah.
we could do that as a group.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. That when I did it last time, I carried an axe, a hatchet, paint, and a short step ladder.
And a short step ladder.
Yeah. And so I could basically get high enough.
Right.
So,
So you weren't doing
so
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you can see them, you know.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we can make that a group project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Are you able to walk very distance? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I could walk the trails
Yeah.
at this point.
Okay.
A couple months ago, no.
Good,
All right.
good progress moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that brings us, to the boundary line painting that we talked about doing.
I would personally, if it was me, save boundary for a fall
Fall, okay.
where the bugs aren't going to be quite so
Oh
bad.
man, they're vicious.
Because it's a short, with the area we've been talking about is a relatively short distance. Be from
Yeah.
the Forest Service access road
Mhm.
to the Fish and Game area.
Okay.
And it's in relatively, as far as clearance is concerned, from the edge of the pine stand there to the Fish and Game, it's pretty good shape. It's going to be some limbing necessary, but I'm not really sure. Going in the opposite direction, you go through a stand of sumac,
Oh,
and it could be a real jungle in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a jungle in there, actually.
okay.
Right.
All right, fall project.
But it'd be better to do it when the leaves are down than it would be to try to do it now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's clear enough as far as falling, and it's just a matter of visibility when you're limbing and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I haven't done anything on the road work again because of so much rain and whatnot. I bet the holes look really good now, but I'd like to get out there and talk to the farmers again and just see for myself what it looks like out there.
Jim, I think, said, if we bring in the materials, just
Yeah.
do it,
Mhm.
no problem.
Right.
And I was going to, I think it was in the April minutes, I was supposed to talk to Russ,
Oh,
which I
great.
haven't done yet.
Yeah.
But I can call him anytime, and if he's willing to spread it, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And also Jake said he could, Jake said that Russ had volunteered the
Right,
grade.
yeah.
Okay, but so.
So we got those, Russ and Jake to do the spreading.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
materials coming.
Yeah, materials
Yeah.
coming from the town,
Yeah,
right,
perhaps, yeah.
right,
Well, so we'll work on that.
right. Yeah, and hopefully they would put it in like crushed ledge.
Yeah.
Instead of crushed bank run,
Mhm.
because that would stand up a lot better to water and it drain better. So, boundary.
Okay. The next thing is the MOU with the USFS. How's that for? We've kind of touched on that and talked about that, and Court said that he would do
Yeah.
that. Approval of the ski jump trail, it was in the email.
Yep.
So that'll make Mike happy to move forward on that side. I know they were waiting for the okay,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to bring that up, that happened. There was a program about trout release. Thank you, Sean, for sort of handling that. Yeah, for the kids.
Yep.
So that's, pretty amazing. Did you see that email? Yeah, many years we've worked with Pine Tree Elementary, now Lakeside, to do watershed education programs on the Swift River behind Kennett Middle School and the Ranger Station, and usually get access to drive back there to bring water quality monitoring equipment and the trout to release them. we are hoping to do that again and get permission. And so that has been done.
It happened.
Yeah, it happened. So next, I received from Cindy Sellers, or we did, a butterfly survey. They're asking, Cindy Sellers, so this is Upper Saco Valley Land Trust, and the other, let's see, reaching out to ask permission for a handful of volunteers from the Tin Mountain Conservation Center to do some butterfly sampling in the fields on Albany Town Forest behind the Kennett Middle School on Saturday, July 19th or early summer. Dexter Harding from Tin Mountain Conservation Center will be running the sampling day. He expects a small team and will be on site for a couple hours in the afternoon. Would it be okay for Dexter and his team to access your property for this purpose?
Absolutely.
That's my, I would think so.
I make a motion to approve butterfly.
I will second the butterfly motion.
Okay. All those in favor of the butterfly survey to be held, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion
So, okay,
carries.
so Sean and seconded, who's?
And Jake, yeah,
Okay,
Sean and Jake.
okay.
I know it's something else. Oh, I know, it's on my thing.
Um,
I just wanted to mention that I've seen from a couple nonprofit organizations in town that New Hampshire Gives program is June 10th through the 11th.
Oh, yes, okay.
So, just putting it out there, various nonprofits in the area may be reaching out and doing that. I saw, Children Unlimited and the Gibson Center and the Adult Day Center, all those people. And I think is Upper Saco Valley Land Trust part of that, I think, New Hampshire Gives? Yeah, that's maybe why it hit me to be able to mention it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes it's a little cumbersome, but it's such a great program, and that I know when I was on the board with Children Unlimited, we had big donors that would match if we
Yes.
raised so much.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a contest, and such a good thing for the state of New Hampshire and for our nonprofits that support us here in the valley. So I just wanted to mention it, that's coming up.
Okay, so I'm just gonna grab that down.
Yep.
Okay.
I want to write it on my calendar. All right. Is there any other business to attend to tonight?
I don't have any. I just notified Cindy of the butterfly
Okay.
survey.
Good,
just
thank
sent
you.
an email to her.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I just had to read the email.
Okay.
I make the motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
Okay. All those in favor of adjournment at 7:19? Signify aye.
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 Okay. We are adjourned. The next meeting will be July 1st. It's on my agenda. July 1st, yes.